If you have diabetes, type 1, type 2 diabetes, or you're pre-diabetic, listen to this. There are quite a few things that contribute to diabetes, and one of them is the breakfast of the nation. Guess what that's called? It's called Wheat Bix. Ever heard of it? Now, most cereals are made from wheat. And in 1950, there was a doctor, his name was Norman Borlaug, and him and his team of researchers put wheat through intensive crossbreeding, and they made a wheat with a high yield of grain. Now, when this wheat grew, the heads were so big that the stalks used to snap. So if you ask your parents, if you're my age, ask your parents, how high was wheat when they were kids? Wheat was higher than their heads. How high is wheat today? It's about 2 to 3 feet tall. So they developed a shorter, thicker stem of wheat that could handle this heavy yield of grain. Now, he used to say, Dr. Norman Borlaug used to say that you can't build peace on empty stomachs. And he actually won a Nobel Peace Prize for his hybridized wheat because he tried to end poverty in countries like, or continents like Africa and countries like India and Mexico. Now, the farmers, they loved this hybridized wheat because they were getting 6 to 8 times more grain per acre. Now, come the 1990s, almost every cereal, pizza, pasta, cake, donut, pretzels, etc., were all made from this hybridized wheat. Now, if you ask any retired physician, they'll tell you that 40 years ago, you hardly ever heard of the term gluten intolerance. And what are 2 of the main symptoms of gluten intolerance? Brain fog and bloating. Now, the problem that's dramatically affecting diabetics today is the change in the starch structure from this hybridized wheat. And that's called amylopectin A. This is an important word. Remember this. Amylopectin A. Amylopectin A gives you a sharp rise in blood sugar and a corresponding drop. So if we take the glycemic index as a baseline of 55, amylopectin A, which is stuff like this, is going to give you the sharp rise. You're going to get your blood sugar spike high. It's going to go up quickly. It's going to come down correspondingly, the same amount, and then it's going to come back up to the line. Things like amylopectin B, like bananas, I would say fruit juices, they are going to give you a similar spike, but not as high. It's going to go up to about there, come down to there, and then back up to the line. Now, if you are a diabetic, you should be avoiding things that spike your blood sugar, like juices and fruits, certain fruits, and all of these glucose-raising hybridized wheat foods. You should be focusing on things like amylopectin C, which give you a very nice steady rise and a slow drop. Things like beans, your cannelloni beans, your lima beans, your lentils. They're going to give you, this is A, this is B. The C is going to give you a nice steady rise and a nice steady decline back to base level. That's exactly what you want if you're diabetic, so that you can improve your insulin sensitivity, because currently you're insulin resistant. So what fruits should you be eating as a diabetic? Well, you want to focus on fruits that end in the word berry, like strawberry, raspberry, gooseberry, blackberry, blueberry. Blueberry is the highest of the berries with regards to fruit, but it's still below 55. If 55 is our baseline and below is glucose friendly and above is glucose enemy, then let's say strawberries are 40 on the glycemic index. Raspberries, 32, which is why they're quite sour. Blueberries are 53. Blueberries are very, very popular in shops and almost the most sold berry as far as I know. But they're still below the line. Blackberries, 25, that's pretty low. Gooseberries are the most sour, 15 to 20. Cherries, 26. Grapefruit, 25. These are fruits that are okay for diabetics to eat and anyone who's trying to manage their insulin. Let's have a look on the other scale of the spectrum. Bananas. They're between 40 and 65, depending on the ripeness. The riper they are, the higher the glucose spike. Potatoes. Whew, here's a big one. 70 to 90. This is for normal white potatoes. Sweet potatoes are between 44 and 63, so it's a better option for low GI. Now, if you boil your white potatoes or your sweet potatoes, they'll be closer to the lower number. If you bake them or you mash them, it's going to go up to the higher number. More sugar is released. Now, if you take a look at normal potatoes under a microscope and you compare them to sweet potatoes, you'll see that the fiber structure is much tighter on the sweet potatoes, which means a slower release of sugar into the bloodstream. And that's why sweet potatoes are a better option. Sugar is actually lower than you would think. It's 59 on the glycemic index scale. White bread is 69. White bread, a slice of white bread will give you a higher blood spike than a candy bar. Let's look at brown bread, whole wheat bread. Whole wheat bread is 72. How can it be higher than white bread? Isn't brown whole wheat bread healthier than white bread? Yes, it is. But because it's not refined, it has more amylopectin A, which is going to give you a higher spike. So I hope you found this beneficial, and I hope you found it helpful, and I hope you've learned something about what foods will keep your blood sugar below the line. This is the line you want to try and stay close to. You can go slightly over, slightly under, but try and avoid big spikes from the amylopectin A and B, which are mostly these foods here and here. If you are going to focus on some of these foods, try and get yourself some sweet potatoes. They have a tighter fiber structure. They do release blood sugar more slowly. And remember, the boiling has less of an effect on blood sugar than the mashing or the baking. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to get in great shape, if you're looking for health advice in life, comment the words coach me. I have 2 coaching programs available to help you get lean and mean in the second half of your life. Comment the words coach me, and I'll see you there.